Welcome to Senior Stay or Go TV, a show to educate, entertain, and advocate on behalf of our aging adults. We are here to provide you the best information for your quality of life.
Welcome to Senior Stay or Go TV. Today we have two great guests from the San Diego County, North County Coastal Village. Liam Dunfey, who's chairman of the board and a co-founder, and Sid Schulman, who's the other co-chairman. Welcome, gentlemen, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you, Patty and Ron.
Sid, we're going to start with you,
okay.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
And I have a little bit of background about the village concept, but tell us what is the village and how will it serve the residents of North County coastal area?
Okay, could I give you a little bit of how it started
You
here?
can certainly tell us whatever you like.
Well, Liam and I are happy to have this opportunity. It was about 2014. A young family moved into our cul-de-sac. And that was Liam and Christine and kids. And found out he was a tennis player. So we got to know each other. And as a result, over a period of a year or so, gradually he kind of sucked me into this idea of this village. I didn't have the faintest idea what it was. But
he's good.
He's very good. And he's a great leader. And so he had a whole ton of demographic material on this local area here. And that was the basis for our starting our outreach program. And some of the places we began with were churches and a synagogue. And as a matter of fact, Seacrest Village, we met with their president and CEO. And we didn't expect it, but we ended up with their offer of facilities when we needed them, when we were up and running. So we're very grateful for that. So the first meeting started in Liam's house, the next one was in my house, and then future meetings were and still are being held at the La Costa Valley Club. And we meet on the first and third Friday of every month. And runs from 8:30 to 9:30, and Liam is a terrific timekeeper and gets us all out on time. So we have, especially people have other things to do. I don't have so much to do because I've been retired for a while. Yeah. So to date, there's been about 75 discrete people, who've come to our meetings to look in on our working committee. And right now there are about 15 very dedicated people on, and Patty being one of them, and responsible for getting us speaking engagements for outreach to several service organizations, and we're very grateful for that. With that, we can take it wherever you want to go.
Sure.
I just like to give me the concept of what the village is all about.
Sure. Well, it came out of the Beacon Hill neighborhood in Boston 15 years ago in 2002. And the concept of the village is really to empower people over the age of 55 or 60 to remain in their own homes, living an active life. And what we've done up here in North County, San Diego, is somewhat of what Sid's talked about. We've over the last year, maybe year and a half, we've talked about creating a village. And people will often ask, well, what is a village? Why was it created in Boston?
Or where is the village?
Where is the village?
We get that a lot too.
And we also get, how is it different from a senior center? Well, let me first address what a village is. A village is not a place. It's a state of being. What's the difference between a senior center and a village? Well, a senior center is a place that older people will go, and they'll interact with other people, whereas a village is a place that can happen in any part of North County, San Diego. It can happen in someone's home. Sid talked about us meeting in his home and my home. It can happen in a local community center. It can happen with people doing a walking group or meeting in a restaurant. Essentially, our village has three main value propositions for people that are interested in joining our movement. Number one It's a place where people can connect with people in the community.
Have a sense of community.
Exactly. And that's the biggest value proposition. Meeting people in your own neighborhood, meeting people in your region. The second one is what I call the Angie's List for older adults. My parents, they're in their early 70s. They live in their own home. And they've lived there for 30 plus years. But they're coming to the point now where, you know, their home needs a little bit of extra work, and they might not necessarily trust a plumber off the street or a painter to come into their home. Well, that's where the village, you could call the village and say, do you recommend any plumbers or painters that might be able to come in and that are trusted to do the work? And the village would provide that resource, and it would be based off other villagers' use of those particular vendors. And then the last value proposition, and this is one where many of the other villages have been very successful, is that they have utilized a core of volunteers to provide their transportation for people that need appointments to, or trips to a doctor's appointment or to a grocery store. And yes, we have Uber and Lyft now for younger people that are, you know, crafty with their smartphones. But the reality is that older people might be afraid to use technology. And even if they were, are they going to trust somebody off the street to pick them up and get them a safe journey from point A to point B? That's where the village can come in. And that's where you would have a vetted volunteer that might know that older adult and provide that service for them.
Yeah. All these things put together is part of the whole, you know, one of the concepts, and that is allowing older people to age in place and maintain the equity that they have in their home.
Yeah, 89% of all seniors want to remain in their own home, so it's not rocket science. Nobody really doesn't want to have to leave if they don't have to. And Liam, with the value propositions that you're going to offer, how do you think this is going to work in North County? Why do you think North County needs something like this?
This is an excellent question. Throughout the county, there are a couple of other villages that have proliferated over the last 10 plus years. In North County, there is no senior village. We've got a lot of retirement communities. We've got growing city populations. Our census data has shown that we've got well over 30,000 people in Encinitas and Carlsbad, where we're going to be centering in, that are over the age of 55. That's a big number. That's a very big number. And knowing that these people, their options to remain in their own homes would be, okay, live on their own, they might be widowed, they might never have been married. And you look at a place like North County, and yes, you've got different demographics, but there's no village. And when you look at the United States of America now, we've got 150 some odd villages already established.
Another 150 on the way.
And another 150 on the way. North County's ripe. The demographic information, the census data, the fact that many people do own their own homes, that based on what we've done just over the last year, there's been, as Sid mentioned, 75 different people that have come to our meeting. There is interest. People want to feel connected to their community, and they want to have control of their own life. I mean, that's really what it boils down to at the village. Having control of your own life and sharing your golden years in your own community on your own terms.
So in terms of, let's go a little bit off, in terms of intergenerational, are you going to utilize, I mean, obviously North County has a lot of young people as well, and
yes.
How do we utilize our youth?
Sid and I have talked about the intergenerational component. Sid's got children and grandchildren in the area. My wife and I have children, and we've talked at the village working group meeting about how to integrate younger people. And I'm not talking 0 to 5. I'm talking teenagers and even 20-somethings. How do we make it so that it's interactive with different people in our neighborhood? And we have some good ideas about how we want to accomplish that through going to a concert in the park or doing some type of educational situation with technology, or some type of painting activity. I mean, it doesn't have to be centered in on one specific area. The sky's the limit. I mean, there are a number of different high schools and higher education institutions that are based in North County or very close to North County that we could utilize. We want to make sure that, that our village has an intergenerational component. That is going to be a core value of what we're about.
And is that one of the gaps that you're going to fill that, say, the senior center's not filling today?
I think it is. I want to take a very close look at what some of the perceptions are of the gaps in services for seniors in North County, specifically in Carlsbad and Encinitas. And I think Sid and I, we've talked about how do we work with both the cities to figure out where those gaps are and how the village can fulfill some of those needs of seniors.
Yeah, we're in the process of contacting people who know people on the boards and things like that, which would enable us to get additional information.
Mm-hmm.
Understand a little bit better what the needs are.
Absolutely.
So right now, you have an audience. What do you want them to know? What do you want them to gravitate towards to your needs and wants over through the rest of 2017?
I want them to be a part of this movement. Sid and I have gone to a lot of different community meetings. We've gone to conferences that speak to the villages. We want them to be a part of our movement, and whether it's becoming a member of our village, whether it's becoming a volunteer, whether it's just learning a little bit more about the aging population in North County, those are all ways that people can very easily get involved. And I would encourage people, if they're interested, just to know a little bit more, come find out a little bit more about us. Come to our event. Volunteer. If you're interested in working with seniors the way that I have been, follow that passion.
There's so many different opportunities. I mean, one of the presentations that we gave at the Rotary in North County was a woman who has an art studio came up and said, you know, once you get up and going, I'd love to be able to offer art classes at my studio. So there's things that people maybe aren't even thinking of yet that they can help with volunteering. It doesn't have to be taking, you know, transportation, taking someone to a doctor's appointment. There's a lot of little things that the volunteers can do to help the village not only grow and sustain itself, but also just to prosper within the community. So it's really, in my humble opinion, it's more an essence of community and how to stay connected and how to not feel isolated in your own home. Because a lot of times, especially when the car keys are taken away, that's the first thing somebody says is, now I'm stuck, I'm isolated, I'm stuck in my home. And what ends up happening is their world gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and what we want to do is continue to expand their world so that they don't ever feel that way.
Yeah, I think you've described it wonderfully, Patty. That's absolutely right. We don't want anyone to be isolated in their own home. Sid and I, we've been neighbors, like you said, for just over 4 years now, and we have a very welcoming community. But I know from living in other parts of the country and here even in San Diego County, that's not always the case. We're very fortunate to live in the same neighborhood and know one another and be involved. But there are a lot of people out there that don't have that luxury.
Sid, how did you get so involved? I mean, what prompted your interest in this?
Well, I lost my wife about a year ago to Alzheimer's, and the period before that was something I don't wish on my worst enemy, or anybody's worst enemy. Sorry. And so no matter what your situation, how well off you might be or not so well off, when something like that happens, you know, you feel so alone. And it's hard to describe, but it's a feeling that, you know, do you really want to go out, you know? Maybe there's something you could do in the house, you know. It's like you're not connected to anything anymore. And so this is an opportunity. And I think people who've been through the kind of thing that I've been through would appreciate the opportunity to join a village and get involved in some way. Everybody has something that, you know, if people just poke them a little, you know, they'll push them in the right direction and they'll get involved, you know. So.
And just having resources and knowing where to turn.
Yeah.
And even if the person you go to doesn't know where to turn, they may know someone who knows where to turn. And I had a similar situation to you by taking care of my parents, and it's not something you want to go through more than once in your life, but when you're going through it, there's that one time, and finding the resources in a timely manner when you need them is not always easy, because so many times you're being reactive instead of proactive, because you can't be proactive.
Yeah, and this is where the village can help. You call in to the phone number Monday through Friday. Somebody picks up the phone. Maybe you need a plumber. Maybe you need a resource for someone that has memory loss. The village can do that research, or they might know right off the bat, this is what I would recommend that you do. And that's the power of that one phone number and that one call, is that you can get that resource in your own neighborhood and community. They can be your advocate.
Liam, you're a visionary, obviously. 5 years from today, 2022, I can't even think that far in advance. Where do you want to be?
Professionally, I still want to work in senior care.
Where do you want to be?
Oh, at the village. I see a robust village. I see hundreds of people involved with this village. I see an additional hundreds of people involved on a volunteer level. Nationally, the village is figuring out, or the village movement is trying to figure out, how do we sustain this? Because right now it's membership fee based and grant money. And here in California and around the rest of the United States, we're trying to figure out, what is it going to take to make sure that these villages are self-sustaining? Because if we've got several hundred villages around the United States right now, we've got to figure out a way to make sure that there's a plan to keep them going financially, that there's a plan to grow them, to scale them. I think that's a big challenge for us. For me, I want to be involved with this village. I think this is a movement that is here to stay. This is a way for people to age with dignity and choice. That's what the village is all about.
Sid?
I agree. I mean, I'm an example of somebody who's gotten involved. You know, every family has a story, and every family has a situation like this, where somebody's alone, needs help, and the children or whatever might be away, not able to help, don't want to help.
Sometimes that too.
Yeah. And so this is a wonderful opportunity for them to be involved, you know, to the extent that they're able.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to like interviewing Patty today, because I know how involved you've gotten, very involved. Where do you see this going for yourself? Because you are.
I am a senior. I want to stay in my own home. I see it as something that can sustain my independence as I grow old, because I don't have children. And so, I mean, not that people can rely on their children to take care of them when they grow old, because like Sid says, that doesn't always happen. But I don't have children, so I have to have a plan. And being a part of the village is a part of my plan.
Well, as I say, having been involved years ago with a startup, I think it's an amazing proposition what you guys are doing, and I hope you can take this and take it around the country and get people who share their successes with you, and then locally get the people involved. And as we talked a little bit about, is the collaboration of great people with vision and excitement and understanding to come together to really move this forward. It's the way it has to go. I mean, Patty and I love many of the senior communities, and we know them all, but there's no way they can't have enough space and affordability, so people need to remain age in place with dignity, with choices, a sense of community. And I could go on and on and on, because it's a very passionate for me as well, because Patty and I walk into way too many homes of seniors that we just can't believe that they're living in these conditions, because they haven't had either they chose not to reach out or they just didn't know where to turn.
Yeah.
And the village, San Diego North County Coastal Village, will be that voice for them of success and socialization and good health and things like that. So Patty, last word from you.
I just, you know, if you're thinking about getting involved or becoming a volunteer, please contact us. We meet twice a month. If it's not something you want to do now but you want to do in the future, still come to a meeting. We'll take your name and contact information and keep in touch so that we can work together in the future.
Liam, Sid, thank you so much for being here
Thank you.
today.
Thank you for the
I
opportunity.
can't wait for, I'm going to be around for a lot longer, so I'm looking forward to 2027 and moving back to the coast. Moved away from the coast, now we move back to the coast, and being part of your village success. It's going to be phenomenal. I have no doubt about that.
Thank you.
Okay,
Ron.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Stay tuned for more Senior Stay or Go.